to Herbalist and Herbs. My name is Harry Chrysikis. Today's video short, Cancer and Natural Medicine. Now obviously this is a broad subject, so I want to try and narrow it down to something that we can really focus on so you can get the principle behind the application of natural medicine. Now, natural medicine works with a holistic model which goes from health to disorder back to health again. So in the case of the cell, which we're going to look at today, it's the healthy cell to what becomes a mutation and ultimately a cancer cell. And then how can we get it back to health again? How can we get the body or the cell back to health again? And or, in the case of cancer, have the body work with the cancer itself if it needs to destroy the cell. So we're going to work into a very specific area of the cell, and it's a gene site called P.53. Now I use P.53 because it's so commonly damaged in cancer. In 50 to 70% of all cancers, P.53 has been damaged. And that is a crucial thing because P.53 is the guardian of the cell's health. And it's the guardian because both cell division and the life of the cell are being determined by P.53. P.53 has the ability to stop cell division. It also has the ability to downregulate and kill the cell. And that is to have the cell commit cell suicide, which is known as apoptosis. That is all under the control of the gene site known as P.53. Now once again, in 50 to 70% of all cancers, and there are about 100 types of cancers, P.53 is mutated. Now in real time, as a clinician, the cancers that you're dealing with, and the majority of cancers that you see, are lung, prostate, colon, and breast cancers. And you will find that gene mutated in 50 to 75% of those cancers, definitely. Now, because it's so critical to the health of the cell, we want to do a couple of things. First of all, we want to try and prevent it from mutating. And second of all, if it has mutated, we want to try to renormalize it, because there's a couple of things we want to try to do to a cell that has become either a mutation and or a cancer cell. Now, the first thing you can do, of course, is protect it. But the second thing is, if you normalize it, what you can do, one of the ideas and the approach is to try to get to P.53, if the cell cannot be repaired, to downregulate it. Now, P.53 can also send out proteins that repair DNA damage. But if that can't be done, then the cell has to be destroyed. And once again, that is under the control of P.53. And if that area becomes damaged, and that damage is passed on to a daughter cell in the case of a mutation, then the next cell will not have that control. Therefore, the cell can live as long as it likes, and it can divide as much as it likes. Now, there's many more things that go into it, but this is really a critical area. And as I mentioned, it occurs in a great deal of cases. So, what do we do in order to take this cell either back to health or have it destroy itself through apoptosis? A couple of things that we can introduce into the protocol is, one of them is quercetin. Now quercetin is a very common flavonoid. It is the most common flavonoid in our food. However, to treat in this situation, food is not enough. You need concentrated dosages of quercetin, and I mean grams of it per day. Another thing that potently, in a very strong way, as well as quercetin, protects P.53 are the fractions of ginger, known as gingerols. Now, both of these things together can be used in a formulation to help both protect P.53 from mutating and being damaged, and or to try and help normalize it. Now, in real time, you're using many other things in your formulas, and you're using multiple strategies, but this one is specifically very important, and it can be supported in a formula that's even broader than the use of quercetin and gingerol. Now, as I mentioned, P.53 gets damaged, and the way it gets damaged is through oxidative stress within the cell. That is, there are too many what is known as free radicals, and free radicals are unstable molecules that damage anything they come in contact with because they rip electrons from those things to try and stabilize themselves. And if it happens to be your DNA, well, then you have the possibility of passing that damage on to another cell and forming a mutation. So free radical and oxidative stress damage inside the cell is critical. So, therefore, one of the other means of approaching keeping P53 healthy and the cell healthy in general, because but you have to try to remember that if P53 is damaged, many other things have also felt the oxidative stress in the cell and been damaged by it. Therefore, we've got to look at a more general way to raise antioxidant level within the cell. And I've written a paper on this that's also on the website with a video short called Raising Cellular Antioxidant Levels, Protection from the Inside Out. And of course, that's what it's discussing, how to maintain the health and integrity of the cell. But in this case, it can specifically relate to P53 because P53 gets damaged through oxidative stress, which is what antioxidants normalize. So, I had mentioned in the paper that a way to raise cellular antioxidants is through the use of cysteine. And that can be in the form of N-acetylcysteine and or whey powder, which is high in cysteine. And it has to be a very specific kind of whey powder. You can also introduce other varieties of antioxidants through supplementation and through our diet. Many of the flavonoids that occur in our foods, and you can also get them in concentrated form, but they also occur in our foods, act as antioxidants. And once again, if you want to raise specifically the intercellular antioxidant level, using cysteine is an excellent idea. Another thing that works really well and helps, and I would use this, of course, almost in all of my formulas, is the use of adaptogenic herbs, because they help raise the general strength of the cell. That is, they help protect P53, they help reduce oxidative stress, they do a number of things to help normalize cell signaling and gene transcription in the nucleus of the cell, protecting it from aberrant signaling. So again, there's a number of things we do when we work on a person that has cancer to help in the treatment of it. But two of the areas that are really important is to protect P53 and also to try and normalize it. And if we can normalize it, then it can either normalize the cell or downregulate the cell through apoptosis. The other way to help protect the cell and P53 specifically is through the use of raising antioxidant levels in the cell with cysteine. And the other way would be the addition of antioxidants in our diet through flavonoid consumption. Quercetin is also a flavonoid, and the addition of antioxidants through supplementation, things like CoQ10, alpha-lipoic acid, OPCs. Okay, that just is one small thing that I would be approaching in a protocol to help someone with cancer. There are probably 7 or 8 other lines that I would be working on simultaneously inside the cell and around the cell as well to help try and normalize it or to minimize what the cancer can use for its own ends. So I hope this video gives you some good information and good idea about how natural medicine can fit into a protocol to treat as serious a disease as cancer. Thank you.